Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are from the part of the world. Welcome to the NewDawn TV. And today, we are going to talk more of politics, students' politics. And today, our guest today is a very honorable member of the Multimedia University. And I'm going to give him a chance. Ajiintroduce, atuambie yeye ni nani. Karibu sana kiongozi.
Good afternoon, everyone. My official name is John Brighton, alias Brighton. That is the street name I have. I'm an engineering student. I'm in my third year. I'm taking Bachelor of Science in Electrical and Telecommunications Engineering.
Electrical and Telecommunications Engineering. So let me call you engineer.
Yes.
Leo tuko na engineer. So engineer, how did you come here? Ulikuja hapa aje? How did you land here?
Well, coming to MMU is part of nature. Nature had planned it that way. But I also give credit to my former high school, Nairobi School, where I attended the grade.
Wait. What? Hebu tajio jina kwanza, tajio shule kwanza.
Nairobi School. That is
the Nairobi School. Kwa wale wanajua Nairobi School, tunaitanga patch.
Ndio.
Bas, patch. Yeah. Mimi kama wa group of schools naijua. Yeah, endelea.
Yeah, so I can say my coming to multimedia stems from getting the grade to now officially qualify to study engineering in multimedia. It is part of my dream as well to join multimedia.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So since you joined multimedia, is it according to expectations?
Expectations haven't all been met, but some have been met.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things which I've met, the expectations which I've met coming to multimedia is meeting people of different calibers, different personalities, interacting with different people. That is part of what I also came to do in campus. I wanted to get to know people, interact with people. It has not met my expectations, probably in terms of some of the facilities that are essential in a campus setting. So, well, there's room for improvement always.
Did you choose to be here, or you found yourself here?
No, I chose.
Did you have alternative?
Well, of course, you have to have alternatives, but as I said earlier, nature had planned it.
Nature had planned you to be here.
Yes.
Okay, so since you came, tell us the activities that you have been involved in, maybe when you are in first year, second year, any activities, clubs, anything that you have been involved in so far.
Well, I've been involved in a lot of things. Internally, within the institution, I have been in many clubs. I have been in societies. One of the clubs I am in is the music club, where I also envision our institution having a music band, because it is something that hasn't been in place currently. Another society I am in the Seventh-day Adventist Society, which is a Christian religion society in school. So those are the two I'm in currently. I'm also interacting with students in different clubs, so I know much about the MCESA, which is an engineering club, the IEEE. Yes.
Okay, now let's talk. You are an aspiring leader, but before we go to that, do you believe leaders were born or leaders were made? Are leaders born or they are made? Where do you stand?
Well, I would say it goes both ways. There's transformation that comes from an individual's effort, but also it contributes or rather stems from your upbringing as someone who grows up. So a leader can be born, a leader can be made. Both can work. Yes.
Okay, so since you have explained and you have said both, so you tell us about your leadership journey. How did you begin your leadership journey? Where? How? What? How?
Thank you for your question. My leadership journey stems way back when I was a kid. So as you said, probably it's inborn. When I was a kid, I was in leadership. I was a prefect. And when I went to high school, for those who learned in my school, they can testify, I was a deputy house captain in one of the houses in that school. That was my role or rather position. Now, when I joined campus, I also vied as a delegate as my first stepping stone in this leadership process, and now currently I'm vying as an SG. Outside school, I've also served in different capacities of leadership. I can say I'm the former chair of an organization called the Violence in Kenya. Yes.
Okay, still in leadership, what are these things or what are these factors or things that influenced you to be in leadership role or be in a leadership position? What are these things that pushed you for you always to be like me? I want this. What are these factors?
My biggest drive always is to fulfill God's purpose in my life. So some of these things you can't really explain it why you want to be somewhere, why you want to get there, but it stems from you having that vision. Also, I can say it is more offering yourself as a sacrifice to offer the good in you to also assist others around you. So that is the biggest reason of what propels you to now why is this currently.
So far since you started your leadership journey, what is this one mistake that you shaifanya ukasema yenyewe hapa nilifanya blanda? Is there any time that in your life as a leader ushaifanya blanda?
Well, the mistake I've made probably is to overindulge in my interaction with people. So when you overindulge in your interaction with people, you tend to now have people having different opinions about you. But it is not my mistake. It is a mistake that now comes up from showing yourself and being in that position of leadership. Also, another mistake I think I have made is now making people around me, some who probably don't support you, feel you are a threat to them. So that is a mistake also.
They see you as a threat. Yes. Okay, if somebody sees me as a threat, I can behave like a threat.
Sure.
Okay, so what are these challenges that comes with the leadership? Changamoto ni gani kwa safari ya uongozi?
Some of the challenges that come with leadership, first is you have to be there. You always have to be there. You always have to listen to people. You always have to attend to their problems. So when it gets to that point when probably the people you want to serve, some don't even understand, probably you're just a student out there. So there is that aspect of probably your constituents feeling like you need to be sorting their problems, all their problems, and not just in your capacity as a leader where you can. So this one comes as a challenge because some probably, if you don't fulfill what they wanted, they might feel like you haven't really done what they wanted you to do for them.
So when you're a leader or in your leadership roles, kuna ide msee ashai kuambia tu kitu yenyewe ukaenda tu kakaa hivi tu ukafikiria tu. Kuna msee like ameniambia vibaya yani. Kuna kitu shai kuambia tu ikakudunga tu.
Well,
about leadership.
About this leadership journey, one thing I usually believe you'll get, as I said earlier, your interactions with people have different personalities, people express themselves differently. So the only thing as a leader I need is that sober mind to now distinguish everyone or distinguish that this one is how they speak, how they do their things. So I've never gotten to that point where I really have something, I take it personally that someone has told me. I just accept and I'm like, oh, this is your opinion. If it doesn't affect me or it doesn't hold much weight on myself, I don't give it much thought.
That's very wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, let's now dive into multimedia politics. So when you came here, first year, Faculty of Engineering.
Yes.
So who are these people? Because there must be some people, there must be some things that derived you to say that, hey, Mimi, acha niende for delegate. Who are these people or what is this that tried to start politics in campus?
When I joined my first year, I can say I had friends who had been in campus politics before. So from my interaction with them, I also saw that this is a good opportunity to also train yourself in the leadership because I can call myself, these people, we are in the student politics in campus, we are young leaders. So it is a step to learn the leadership, train yourself for the bigger world outside that we are now going to face. So I can say what really made me vie as a delegate, especially in my first year I didn't vie. I was watching, rather I wanted to
just observe.
Yeah, I was observing. Yes, I wanted to know how the MME politics goes, so that when I join, now I have something tangible to work with. Yeah. Nice. So when I joined, I can also give credit to the people I met who guided me in this politics.
You can mention them.
I can mention a few. I know Master Tinega is a famous guy in school. I know John Wellington. I know the people I voted in the last election, the likes of Remy Osoti, the former leaders books. So I interacted with all of them because a book says that when you want to gain wisdom, you just have to ask questions first. So I asked many people questions, but those are just a few names I can mention.
Nice. Okay. So you are a delegate in second year.
Yes.
And there's this question that we are having, that do you really believe that as a delegate, do they represent the interest of the local comrade, or they're just some puppets that are being used by some people? You yourself, from experience, because you are once a delegate, do you think delegates do represent the will of the comrade?
Well, this one now calls for that aspect of what we call the drive, the drive of someone. You see, some delegates in school are asked to go for these positions. They don't even know why they are going for them. I'll talk about myself. When I was vying as a delegate, I knew why I was going for the delegate seat. So personally, I represented the interests of the people who are around me and whatever they wanted. The leaders they wanted to be voted in, those are the same people I voted in. But now it gets to that point where there's a fraction, or rather a percentage of the school that is now going to vote in the whole leadership. So what you're saying also makes some sense, that some can be corrupted, some also don't know what they need to do. But I believe someone needs to just make their own decision to decide the good leadership, because you've been given a chance, or rather an opportunity by your constituents to elect the good leadership in school. Yes.
Okay, so if you're in a position, or in a position to choose or to decide or to advise between the delegate system, this electoral college system, or the popular vote, whereby all comrades mpange line, mpige kura, which one would you go for?
Well, I would weigh both first, weighing the everyone voting system. The people, one man, one vote system, it was removed from the national government, and it was passed down to the campuses to now have it that we have the delegate system. So when they did that, probably they also have their reasons why they did the same. But now at a personal level, looking at it deeply, you realize if someone really does not have the interest of comrades at hand, and he has a majority of the delegates, then surely they will win that election. If someone has the interest of comrades at hand, because the comrades themselves are the people who elect the delegates. So I really feel that it goes both ways. But personally, I give much weight on the delegate system only if our delegates will be of a sober mind to help that election process be easy. Because if today we were now started having it one man, one vote, it is quite hectic for a whole executive to have that election done. But now the stepwise movement, we have it where the delegates are first elected by their constituents. Now, we need to entrust them in that role, but the delegates themselves need to be sober-minded.
They need to be sober-minded. Hope this one gets to all of them, all the aspiring delegates out there. Kindly, you are representing the interest of the comrades, not your personal interests. Okay, another thing, since you came to multimedia, tell us how you have seen the MUXA leadership or the MUXA role. Rate them, in short, rate them.
Well, the MUXA leadership, I'll give credit where credit needs to be given, and I'll also criticize where it needs to be criticized. So when I joined in first year, I'll talk about our MMU Chafua, where we take our meals. It wasn't in the best condition. It was more of a swamp with some grass and the rest. So when that MUXA came in, they did the whole place. They changed it. They brought the container. They had the ballast. So I really feel like they did something great that can be shown. This current MUXA out there, outgoing MUXA, I really feel they haven't satisfied our interests as comrades. Why? Because of the project they considered. They considered the project to have the student leader offices, which up to this time haven't been officiated yet. They haven't been completed. So I really feel there's a gap they haven't filled. If they completed their project and showed us really that this is our project and it is now working, it is serving the student, then I'd give them the credit. Also on my part, I still feel there's room for improvement for our school, because what they did, we can't brush it off and say they didn't do anything. They tried, but we still have that belief that we need to do better as a school. You realize in the outgoing MUXA, most of the I'd say facilities in terms of repairs and the rest, which need to be done from time to time, haven't really materialized. So we really need to also think towards still giving room for improvement for our school. We aren't in the best condition yet. Yes.
So this, in short, you are saying this MOOCs hawaja perform venye wanafaa kuperform.
Yes.
So they say since we cannot blame the whole MOOCs, so where do you think, which area specifically have not been active or have not done what they are supposed to do? Which area?
Well, you see, first, when we call it MOOCs, what is MOOCs? MOOCs is the Multimedia University of Kenya Student Association. And then we now have the MOOCs leaders. So these MOOCs leaders, all of them have their roles, which they need to be doing. But I also believe in your capacity as a leader, after being elected in office, you need to also offer yourself as a sacrifice to fit in any place that needs your service as a leader. So first, I'll not direct a blame to a specific person, because when it is failing, it fails as an entity from the whole president, the deputy, the SG, the finance, the academic secretary, the sports and entertainment secretary, plus the congressmen they have in their body. So I'll not direct one blame, because if today there's a hostel room that does not have sockets repaired, I first blame the hall's representative, because have you represented these students to take their complaints to the respective offices they need to be taken to? When that one has not also been done, I also blame the MOOCs, the executive, because if you are not working well with your Congress, then the whole team has failed. So I'll not direct my blame to an individual or a specific person, but I'll direct my blame, or rather my critique, to all of them and say we can still do better in school. Yes.
Okay, let me ask you quite a sensitive question, and I hope you will respond. So, do you believe this MOOCs, the outgoing MOOCs, was elected legitimately?
Well, I was in that election room as a delegate. I also casted my vote. So what I can say, from what I observed, it was
okay.
Yes.
It was legitimate.
Yes.
There was no this.
No. If it was there, then personally I didn't witness.
You personally,
yes, but because the whole process was getting to that room, doing your voting, casting it, go back, sit down, and then the votes start getting counted, where all the agents are also there. So I don't see a way where I can say I can make it illegitimate and say the government wasn't elected. I really think that is what the Congress wanted there. That is what the delegates found best for the institution there. Yes.
Okay, then since you are here in first year and now second year, meaning that you have witnessed two MOOCs.
Exactly.
So how will you compare them? Which one was better? This or the one that was there when you were in first year?
Well, the one which was here when I was in first year was better. Why? Because we had Remy Soti as the SG, we had Cheriot Ronald as the president, we had Annabelle as the deputy. Yes, it was a good move. It was better than the one outgoing currently. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So, before we go to the second part, because our second part we are majorly going to focus on your aspiration to go for the Secretary General of the Multimedia University of Kenya. So when you come back after the break, we are going to dive more into that. So all the viewers, we are taking a short commercial break. We are going to be back after a short while. So, welcome back, everybody. We are having a conversation with Sir Brighton. Allow me to call you Sir Brighton, ama ukipenda engineer. So, tumeongea mambo mingi about leadership and MOOCs. So now we are going to dive into you as the Secretary General. So, Sir Brighton, I'm just going to go straight to the point.
Yes.
Why do you want to be the SG?
Thank you very much for your question. First, being an SG calls for the aspect of representation, because as the constitution stipulates, the SG is the official spokesman of MUCSA, and MUCSA, all of us are MUCSA. All the students, all the bona fide students of multimedia are part of MUCSA. The only difference is we now have the MUCSA leaders, who is the executive, and one of the roles or positions in the MUCSA executive is the Secretary General. So why am I vying for this position? First, I'm vying for this position to voice the voiceless, to talk on behalf of those who can talk for themselves, to also channel a good way of communication between the administration and the students, or the students and the administration. There are things which haven't been worked on currently that I really believe in my capacity as an SG, I will definitely work on them. Yes.
Okay, let me ask this way. So, MUCSA has different roles.
Yes.
So, why SG? Why not chair? Why not finance? Why SG?
Thank you very much for your question. The SG, I really feel the SG plays the pivotal role of that MUCSA. Without an SG, or without a good SG, the MUCSA almost deems not fit for that, the whole set of leadership. Why? Because the SG will take minutes during the meetings. He is the official spokesman of MUCSA, who will be voicing after our meetings with the chairperson of the Congress, or the chairperson of the executive, that is the president. After deep talks with the finance secretary, I now need to talk about these things, or rather voice them, so that the comrades can hear them. So, me vying for this SG seat, first, it also goes inward. Why? Because I really feel like my personality fits the role, because it is not more of the shout and the talks as people look at that position. It is more about how can you present yourself, how can you talk, how can you negotiate, how can you talk about the things that are affecting students and have these things being heard. You see, it also goes way deeper into wanting to serve and being that role of serving others. So it is not about just the SG role alone. It first calls for someone to be a leader in their capacity. Once you're a leader, now you now decide and pick a role. You say, in these roles given in MUCSA, can I fit for this position? And personally, I feel I fit, because if it is about talking on behalf of people, if it is about airing the opinions, the ideas that other people have, I really believe I'm equal to the task. Yes.
So, what are these forces, or who, or if there's any person, is there anybody who suggested to you that, Brighton, you can really make a good SG? Are there these people, or those people who pushed you to influence your decision?
Well, I will say here, and I'm very sure about this, nobody influenced my decision. My decision was influenced first by what I feel within me. That is the first influence. And before deciding that I was going to vie for this position, I first gave it a thought. I really took my time to think about it. I also consulted my maker, God, to know how can I go about this. But then you come to realize that all of these answers, well, there's one speaker who said, faith is taking the first step, even if you don't know how the staircase will look like. You see, when you now decide that I'm going to take part in this leadership process, I want to also experience how it goes. I want to also serve people in a different way, because I know there are leaders in the school. There are people who also fit this position, you see. But have they had the courage to vie for this position? Probably no. Someone maybe has decided not to because they fear. But if you don't fear, you just say, let me go for it and see. I also want to represent probably the different energy that people haven't experienced in MMU, which they now need to experience in this new tenure, to feel contented, or rather have something to say later in the days that, oh, we had an SG. Also, I talked about fulfilling God's purpose in one's life. That is also a belief, or rather a drive I have on a daily, that it is not in my making, it is not in my wish. But if it is in God's wish, if nature wanted it that way, then who am I to refuse? So we also have to give credit to that one as well. So it stems from being inborn. I want it from the help. I want to offer myself as a sacrifice in service of the common. Yes.
Okay, let me now ask this way. in campus politics, especially multimedia, since I've been here and I've also seen, there's this thing we call determinants that will determine you being elected in any leadership position. And one of them, maybe there's finance, there is support, there is this house factor. So how do you address house factor? Is it a determinant?
Well, the house factor can be a determinant if you are not diverse in your line of thought. But I really believe the house factor, it is not given much weight as people think. Why? Because if today an election is done, we are working with probability for this matter. Does not matter if you are from the same ethnic group. Does not matter if you are speaking the same mother tongue. But what will make someone be elected as a delegate is how they relate to their people. So in as much as people really tend to think that the house factor will also determine how someone gets to leadership, I believe it's about your interaction and personal touch you have with all the comrades. It is these comrades who still elect people. I also have people who are supporting me who are not from my clan or my ethnic group. Does that one make me now less of a leader? No. I also have people supporting me from other faculties. Does that one make me less of a leader because I'm now from engineering and there are people from force and the rest? No, because it is about how you express yourself, how you talk to these comrades, and that will determine how they also give back in terms of voting the delegates in and voting in finally. Yes.
And there is this, you have been a student here, you have interacted with delegates or maybe with other comrades. So what are these challenges that you normally encounter on daily basis? Mtu akikwambia, unajua kiongozi, sisi huku iko hivi na hivi na hivi na hivi. What are these challenges that our comrades are facing that you want to address?
Thank you very much. So that question directly takes me to my manifesto. What do I want to work on? Because for everyone I've interacted with, those people who know me, they know very well that I usually say, I'm not going there to represent myself. I'm going to represent a majority. The 10,000 students in multimedia expect that when they see me there as their SG, I need to be working or rather fulfilling something that hasn't been worked on that is affecting them directly. One of the things the students have really raised complaints on is the sanitation. We have in our washrooms, we have in our hostel rooms, we have in the washrooms in the faculties. They are not in the best condition. Why? Because during the day, our water system is usually not working because they are trying to regulate the water consumption in school. But while they are doing that, they don't really consider that what is the student going to use? Because our latrines or the washrooms we have, they are not pit latrines. They are washrooms that need to be flushed. So when you don't have backup water in our sanitation rooms, then we are not heading anywhere as a school. Then our cleanliness is of doubt. Another thing the comrades have really complained about is the security issue. The security issue, the Bangla issue has been here since the time of John. And actually, if you remember well, the last strike we had in multimedia was when we lost one of our students through mysterious ways that we haven't really gotten answers up to this time. When a student lost his life and we haven't been told anything later on. So this security issue has also been here for the longest time. We have the Bangla area where students are being attacked from time to time, their phones are being stolen, and some even end up being hit on the head, and the only place they get their medication is Sinai Hospital in Rongai. Another complaint I've received from a majority of the students in school, it is our health facility. Our health facility down there, it is not in the best condition. And this one, personally, I've also experienced it, and I'll talk about it here. One time when a student was attacked, when we went to Ngong Rescue, this student just sought first aid, but now was coming for good medication in school. When this student got to the health facility, you can imagine he was stitched as we used our phones to give light for that doctor to stitch. Why? Because there wasn't light. There wasn't electricity in the hospital. Later on, after that is done, we are also getting a note, medical report written there, and he's being asked to get the medicine from Rongai. That does not make sense.
Yet he's a student.
Yet he's a student in school. You see, so we don't have medicine in that place. we also don't have the good
And we are
facility
paying
and
fee.
electricity, and we are paying fee for the same. Another complaint we've had from majority of the students, it is to do with our portals. Our portal has had a problem for the longest time. Our portal is not satisfying what the students would want it to really satisfy as a student portal. We only go to that portal now currently to look for our IDs and probably register units, which is not also efficient from time to time. You find the portal is closed. When it's open, it has the numerous challenges. One being the update of our fee structures. It hasn't been updated since the government then reduced the fees. Up to this time, our fee structure hasn't been updated on our portals. We still don't know how much do I need to pay for a semester. Yet, it is close to 5 months or 6 months later since the government reduced the fee. You see, so this is also a challenge that has been raised by very many students in school. We also have this issue to do with our STC, the student center. It is called a student center, but at the same time, it is not a student center. Why? Because a student center where you try doing your fun stuff, you try playing your basketball on a Monday afternoon or a Tuesday afternoon, a lecturer will come outside the STC in a room within the STC and tell you, please leave this place, there's someone doing presentation here. Why? Because there's a whole faculty in multimedia that does not have a whole building they call their own. That is the Faculty of Social Sciences. For how long are we going to continue this way as a school before this faculty is also considered as one to make sense? If we don't think towards that, then our STC is not making sense because it is no longer a student center. The same STC is a classroom. The same STC, it's also shared by the MOOCSA. It is also MOOCSA offices. The same STC also has the dean's offices and the people who are working with the dean. The same STC also has the cafeteria. So for how long are we going to continue this year at the school? And on that note again, the students have also complained or raised this concern that they are really tired going to Rongai every other time to play pool in Rongai. It is first risking their life. They are spending a lot of money leaving school every time going to Rongai to have fun. Why can't we have pool tables in school? So this is also a motion that I'm going to front it because the students have asked. I usually say that I'm going for this position not for my own interest, not just to be there for the title, but to serve and to represent the majority who are behind me and believe that Brighton can be there to serve their interest. I hope you answer.
Okay, since you have explained all those challenges that the students are complaining about, but the problem is the administration.
Yes.
So how do you think the administration will listen to you?
Thank you very much for that question. First, I really believe if we first distinct that MOOCSA needs to work in parallel, because MOOCSA, it is here to lead the students and their matters, and the administration is there to offer guidance on the management of the institution, you see. So the first thing we need to now agree is that the administration also needs to give us a listening ear. And how is this going to be possible? First, after being elected by a majority vote, we need to get there and provide whatever the students have been complaining about. I'm not saying today here that I'm going to change MMU from what it is currently to being in the level of USIU. I'm not going to change MMU within a year to be like Strathmore. But the little things that can be worked on by the administration, they need to work on them. There are also what we call the MOOCSA projects which are being worked on every tenure when they get to office. So what I can assure is that I'll think toward a project that will satisfy a majority of comrades and not just a group of comrades. For instance, the former MOOCSA considered the MOOCSA offices and had them done there. But now, the MOOCSA offices currently they haven't been completed, yet there are vital issues that are affecting students like seats in the classrooms. Students don't have enough seats. Students still don't have enough.
I want you,
Yes.
thank you for reminding me that question. I want you to address that scenario. There's that picture that was circulating in multimedia whereby students were doing exams standing.
Yes.
How would you address that? Where is the problem? Who is to be blamed?
we need to blame the whole system, from the administration to the student leaders. Because why do you allow such a thing to happen when you're in a position of leadership? You are there to represent students. Up to this time, they haven't talked about it. And when we even raised that concern, some saw our noise or our complaint as something that does not go anywhere and can't help. If you are keen online, I removed, or rather I had my poster, which was written, demand for enough seats in classes, and had the hashtag Acta Nanbaba, which is currently my hashtag in this campaign. So I acted in my capacity as an aspirant because I couldn't do much then. But what I believe is, as an institution, we now need to move from thinking of projects that don't satisfy majority in school to start working on projects that satisfy a majority in school and the main problems in school. I need not to have a good swimming pool up here in Clubhouse when I can't have a whole seat in class to sit in and work on my projects. You see, I need not to have the best pathway, tarmac road from the school gate to the administration offices. I need not to have the RAV4 vehicles parked in the administration offices being used for movement when there's a student who doesn't have a chair in the classroom. There's a student who the hostel room doesn't have a socket to even work with. You see, so what I'm really going to push as an SG is pushing the administration to start focusing on student matters. The urgency, I'll put it that way, the urgency when it comes to student matters. It hasn't really been. I remember one time when in Block A, a sewage busted. And then after the sewage had the blockage and the rest, imemwagika hapo, I go there in the morning, ask them, have you made reports? And the rest, they confirm to me they have made reports. I come back in the evening at 5 p.m., nothing has still been done, you see. So that one tells you how much the urgency when it comes to student matters hasn't been given priority. And that is what we now need to push. This is the new mindset we need to have or adopt as students in multimedia, that we need to demand urgency when it comes to student matters. Because it is not like the administration does not know students stood as they took their exams last week. Yes.
Okay, if these things are all not resolved, or if the administration doesn't hear, will you call for mandamano?
That is one thing I can assure you. That is one thing I can assure you. I'm here not to work in liaison with the administration, but to represent a majority, who are the people I back up. And as I said earlier when I was starting this conversation, I'm going to be a voice of the voiceless. And being a voice of the voiceless also calls for being ruthless at times. So that is one thing I can assure you. If all the logic does not get there, if our negotiations with the administration does not get us there, then you can be sure we shall have strike. Okay, now have us doing what they need to do.
Let me ask you 2 quick fire questions, then we wind it up. So, would you rather eat your lunch or your supper or your meals at mess or chafua? Which one do you prefer? Mess or chafua?
I prefer mess.
Mess.
For this matter.
Would you rather lose a friend or lose the election?
I'd rather lose the election
than losing a friend.
Yes, I really believe in humanity, so why would I lose a friend for just an election? Okay. But it matters to me as well, don't forget.
In the next 40 minutes, I want to give you a chance to talk to students, to comrades, to every person that is watching your camera. So tell us anything in the next 40 seconds.
Well, hi everyone. As I said earlier, my name is John Brighton, alias Sir Brighton, currently vying for the Secretary General position. I have talked about some of the complaints the comrades have raised, and I still believe there are things to work on. So just asking you for your support. If we haven't interacted at a personal level, you can also give keen hearing to what we've talked about. It might offer some help. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sir Brighton. Thank you, Asante Sana, Engineer.
Yes.
So that will be the end of our session for today. We were having Super Secretary General Sir Brighton. So Asante Sana, see you in the next episode. play TikTok.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Start.
I think it's going mobile.